that's the first time I saw the guilt in my mother as well. That, oh, I cannot provide for my own children right now. And that's because she was so stuck in that cycle of providing monthly to relatives and cousins who have it so much worse than us. That hurt her a lot, I think. On the one hand, you want to break that cycle, to climb up that economic ladder for your future offspring. But on the other hand, you have this extreme guilt that you can't help your parents or don't support them, and you're like abandoning them.
Because I turned from a place of internalized sexism to feminism, I felt like, of course, I would want to have a girl so that I can, teach her and uplift her. And that would be a meaningful process for both her and myself.
Wow.
I'm glad in the sense that I now finally not everything is about me anymore. At the same time, I never really lose my individuality by doing things for others. It's actually the contrary. My individuality has grown because that I now also do things for others. Growing up in a Filipino family and then going to a German kindergarten, Austrian kindergarten, do you notice the approach, how children are being addressed?
The thing with my parents is respect was a big thing. Respecting your parents, respecting your elders, which is a very East Asian value. And in kindergarten and also in elementary school, it was very eye level. And a lot of kids who were very rebellious would, in my view, talk really disrespectful to an adult. So that was really new as a child. Yeah.
I also notice that, respect, but it's a big thing, but it's more or less like a one-way respect.
It is, yes.
Right.
I agree.
It's like respect towards your senior, but there's little mentioning of mutual respect.
Right. Very much, yeah.
How do you think that it impacted you, this kind of mixture of partially Asian parenting and the partially European parenting?
I think high school and university was very apparent that my upbringing was clashing a lot with how the Austrian education system is trying to train you. It causes a lot of confusion, and also you feel so lost and misunderstood all the time. You experience microaggressions, you experience questioning about why you are the way you are. That's what you experience as a child of an immigrant family.
Yeah. And what kind of questioning or microaggression?
I think the first ever microaggression I experienced was in elementary school when I had lunch, and it was in Chinese you call it bao, and in the Philippines we call it siopao. I was eating that during lunch, and this kid came up to me, asked me what I was eating, showed it to that kid, and the first reaction was, ew. Right? And kids can be really rude and mean, but in that moment, as a child, you don't know how to react. So that feeling of confusion just builds up for many, many years. And then when you're an adult, you think about it and how that affected you, right? And then I think a lot of Asian kids experience that their food is seen as too exotic and too like foreign, and they're grossed out. And yeah, I think that's a big thing with Asian kids.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
I would never expect that. Was it because back then, when you were growing up at that moment, Asian food was still not as popular as it is today?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I mean, Asian food got popularized, I think, around 10 years ago. Yeah, with the rise of like pop culture and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. But other than that, of course, you experience like all the gestures kids make, like you know the
Classics.
the classics, right?
I think I saw on your social media that you were saying that you posted something and added a caption saying that you were trying to get healed from the generational influences. What were you referring to when you were saying that you wanted to heal yourself from the generational influences?
The way I even got into that thinking was through dance. So in your artistic journey, right, you're trying to figure out what you want to show. I realized in your artistic expression, it is so important to know yourself first. In my like artistic journey, I learned so much about Filipino culture, the history, our roots before colonization and everything. And then as I got deeper into those topics, I realized, okay, I have to start with my family first. And then I got interested in the story of my mother. She grew up in a very small province in Bicol region in the Philippines. So it was very loud. There was a lot of fights, and she didn't really feel safe and developed a lot of anxiety. She would be very hectic in her movement. She would panic a lot, and she would be very dramatic. But she tries to like control herself, and I just realized anxiety alone was really passed on to me. So I was thinking, okay, I mean, I can mask it a lot better than my mother, but it's still in me. So every time I feel unsafe or every time I'm nervous, I get this like rush of anxiety, even though for other people it's completely a normal situation.
I think that we are just somehow programmed in a way that we think that expressing emotions openly are not something that are welcomed.
Right.
Today, I still notice that all these artwork, whether it is literature or cinematography, when they are telling a story of an Asian family, you always see this kind of awkwardness in expressing emotions properly, whether it is love emotion or frustration or sadness. Somehow it's always gets so twisted in the way how people address them. I think that too creates this kind of like anxiety. And why did you choose dance as your form of expression?
I was a 90s kid, and I was born into that internet era of like where YouTube got introduced, right? So after school, I didn't have any activities at all. Like some kids would be, I don't know, playing sports or go to dance classes or whatever. But But with me and my brothers, we couldn't afford that, so we didn't have the resource. So we just were alone at home, had access to internet, and I just clicked randomly and then found dance videos of like little kids taking dance classes. So I was so fascinated by it that I tried mimicking all these like choreographies. And the funny thing is, I remember so vividly how I would learn them while no one was watching. And then I would go to the bathroom to like to like express it and go full out, because I didn't have a room. My brothers and I were sharing a bedroom, right? So that was funny. I was like keeping it to myself a lot, because I was like, oh, this is my thing. I can do this, and this is so much fun. And then, yeah, just years later, I think in my teens, through the church community, I got exposed to a lot of Filipino kids who share the same interests, like music, dance, etc. So then I found friends who were also interested in dance, and then we would exchange, and that was so much fun.
And how did it evolve from just having fun to a healing?
There was a point where I dreamt of making dance my career. So okay, how do I get to dance jobs? How do I get money from this, and etc. And then I had like one foot in the entertainment world or commercial world of dance, and realized very quickly that okay, this is not really where I fit in. I quickly realized that there's so much culture and political aspects in dance, and how we utilize dance.
Have you experienced anything like, tokenism or stereotyping at your line of work?
Yes, so a lot more in the dance world, I have to admit, like in the art scene. There's this trend going on that you want to have the face of all races, like have a black person, an Asian person on screen. And the first time I ever experienced that was through a music video shoot. We quickly realized that they want our faces or our appearance on screen, but do not really consider us as people, in a sense. So
it's more like a decoration.
Yes. Starting from like not considering our body types or our heights or our curves, right? So and also like culturally, it is expected, especially in white society, in Western entertainment, that showing skin is the norm, or being sexualized is the norm. And at that time, for me, I was active in the church community, so modesty was a big thing for me. So that really clashed with me, because I really dance is my passion and I really want to do it, but on the other hand, is this the price I have to pay to wear just
something you're not comfortable with?
Yeah, exactly, the 5 centimeter bra or whatever. And then also on other jobs, it's not considering your skin tone, like putting just a white cast on your face, not providing you clothes, so you have to come with your own clothes. Yeah, all those things in the entertainment industry, in Austria especially, because that's where I experienced it.
So basically that they want to have you there as decoration, but in the process of preparing the whole show, it was actually quite discriminative in the sense that they did not take into account or into consideration of your specific conditions.
Yes, and needs, because you know, it's such a complex situation you're in, because you already agreed to it. You're going into it expecting to like be considered or like treated like a normal human being, but then you realize, oh, okay, they want you because of your race essentially, but they want to treat you like you are a white person. Right?
I see.
So there's a lot of questions, and when you're experiencing it and you're in it, you don't know what's going on. So you just go with it. Yeah. And just later on you realize, oh, that was kind of racist.
I think that is perhaps everywhere, you know. In arts scene, in private sector, for sure, I have heard a lot of stories. But even in like non-profit and humanitarian environment, it still is. Even though, you know, diversity, respect for diversity and inclusion is supposed to be a part of the foundation of the work that we do. Unfortunately, it still happens quite often that it just stays on the performative level. If I compare to the scenario where, you know, we used to have like briefing meetings, you know, like weekly meetings, white male boss would make, you know, very sexist and racist jokes. In my case, that he would always say, because I'm Chinese, right? And he would always say to me that, remember what Chairman Mao said, eat salt. I was very confused. I don't know where that reference coming from, you know, what does it mean, eat salt, you know? But he used that joke repeatedly over and over again. And I think that it was probably something funny to him.
Yeah.
But since it was not funny to me, I don't even understand it. So I think that it's very highly inappropriate. So I realized that, okay, you know, being in an organization that is supposed to be inclusive and respectful towards diversity, it doesn't really mean that it will be the experience when you know, we work there.
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's still a very long way to go. Another thing that I noticed is that because as Asian, you know, women, we often look younger than our real age.
Yes.
And I feel often very split, you know, because in my own culture, women are only appreciated when you are young. So Asian women, I mean, of course, all women do that, but particularly Asian women pay a lot of attention in, you know, maintaining their appearances. But when it comes to the professional environment, the appearance of looking young suddenly becomes a disadvantage because seniority is all created based on age. Of course, you know, older you are, more experienced you are, and younger you are, less experienced you are. So what I feel is that by looking young, people don't take you seriously.
Yes, I experienced that too.
So I realized that it's just creates so much unnecessary pressure. On one hand, I feel like, okay, you know, stay young means that I'm more appreciated socially and culturally, but professionally I'm not. So it's like what I'm supposed to do then.
Exactly.
And I feel like it's not just about our gender. It's also not just about race, but it's also about age. And all these three things layered together create a mixture of discrimination. So, we are discriminated not just because we are Asian, not just because we are Asian women, but also because we are young-looking Asian women.
Yes, of course. I often felt, like in my professional career, I also work as a graphic designer in agencies in the past, but now also in an international organization. And I often felt like infantilized, like I was a child, So sometimes that confused me, not knowing, is this because they feel comfortable with me? Are they being nice? But actually, no. Like, they're just confused and don't know how to approach me. I mean, I have experienced a lot of things in the workforce, but that really stuck was also like racist remarks from a white male boss, like saying funny jokes because it's funny to them. I think it was a greeting for him to say "Ching Chang Chong" to me. I mean, today I think it's so funny, but at that time when I heard that, I couldn't sleep at night. Yeah. I was like, I need to talk to him. Yeah. I need to tell him that that's not right. Yeah. And I did, and the next day, I asked for a short meeting, and I was so nervous, but it was such a important thing to do it for me. Like, as a person, I felt like I grew so much just by telling him and confronting him.
How did he receive it?
He received it, I think, it was a kind of intimidation, or he didn't expect it. Because, for him it was a joke. It's normalized, and the classic argument is that, I say that to my Chinese friend the whole time, so it's no problem. And I was like, the thing is, I'm not even Chinese. Right? So what are you trying to tell me? So please just don't do it. And then he went on, and I quickly realized that he was intimidated, and he was shocked that I even confronted him about it, but I also knew that it's not really going to change him.
But the importance is that you were able to stand up for yourself. I think that it really takes courage to do so, because by nature we also, from our culture, we also don't want to be perceived as intimidating. Yeah. But the problem is that if we were put in a situation, whether intentionally or unintentionally, in a situation where things are being said or done inappropriately, we have to stand up for ourselves. And then inevitably, sometimes it just becomes intimidating, especially the more often you are put in that, or you find yourself in a situation, the more often that you choose to stand up for yourself, and then you create this kind of pattern, and at some point somehow you just seems to become the intimidating person.
Yes.
And it is a very uncomfortable place to be forced to stand up for ourselves. Yeah. Often Asian immigrants are labeled as a model minority.
Oh, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that we are model minority?
The way I see it is, it's an inferior superior thing. Right, so just from our appearance, we're shorter naturally, we're smaller, our culture is more, I'd say, quieter. We're not, I was also raised like behave and don't talk back, right?
Shrink ourselves to fit in.
Right, and also like assimilate and don't stand out, right? People please, as we talked about it, and I think over the years it just became this annoying stereotype that Asian people, or especially Asian women, are very, very timid and very quiet.
I'm smiling because I often notice this theme in Japanese movies where where they often portray people how they suppressing their emotions, right?
Yeah.
Because our culture is basically like that. You are not supposed to trouble others or bother people with your things and your feelings and honestly, even though I also grew up in a similar culture, but I think that it's very unhealthy, and myself I was never like that. So I think I'm more like I was born like an outlier, you know, I don't really suppress my thoughts and my feelings. I always wanted to express them.
Right.
And some find it, of course, interesting because, like authenticity is eventually appreciated by people regardless the culture.
Exactly.
But of course, at the same time, it's also very intimidating for other people. I would say maybe even the majority of people. So I think when I left, I was 18 when I left China. I was very happy because I feel very liberated. Liberated in a sense that finally I don't need to feel so alien for being different.
Can I just ask, like, where do you think does that come from? Your like this rebellious side or different side of you?
My mother was always someone who was different. Like she really stood out as a woman, whether in her aesthetic expression. I mean, like I remember like she was very fashionable. Yeah, and she was also a very beautiful woman. Like in the way that I was so used to hearing the compliments to her and the confusion that like why am I so different from her. You know this Anderson's fairy tale about swans and ducklings?
Yeah.
In China, there's this expression basically is that if you're pretty, you are a white swan.
Right.
And if you are not pretty, then you are a duckling. So the question is that, why are you a duckling when your mother is a swan?
People would just blatantly say that. Wow.
Yeah. At the same time, because I had so much love for my mom, so I was also very proud that my mom, was a beautiful woman. As a child, you don't really pay so much like attention to like how pretty you are. You want to be pretty, but it is a very vague concept. Yeah. And I know that I was like often put in comparison to her. And I guess that also made me look up to her naturally. First of all, we look up to our mothers as daughter. But then also is that I wanted to like become like her, in the sense that she's very bold and she's very confident. That put me in contact with confidence, And of course, now I realize it was confidence, but when I was little, I couldn't I couldn't really probably name it. I mean, I think I was a normal, cute kid. It's not like that. I was ugly or anything. But it's just like by comparison, people would raise the question. It's like, okay, they expected a beautiful child coming out of like a beautiful woman.
That is so crazy because you are a child.
I know.
How can they judge a child? That's so...
Yeah. As I grew up, I started getting fed up with it. I don't think that it ever affected my confidence. The fact that I did not look as beautiful as my mother. But however, like I started to be able to stand up for myself. So I remember there was this colleague of hers. He had a similar comment, in regard to my look and my mother's, and I was so fed up with it. And my mother told me later that I said to him, "Close your stinky mouth," and he was very surprised and hilarious for them as well.
Wow.
And I guess that probably showed some trait in me, personality trait in me that. I was not afraid of being intimidated. And while facing intimidation, I would step up. Yeah. So that is a part of my character. And therefore, I carried it all the way through my childhood and particularly teenagehood when you are just rebellious. And therefore I always felt like an outlier. I had some friends, actually. My best friend was also an outlier in the sense that she was a Japanese and she moved to China with her parents in the mid-90s, and we met in our elementary school. And also my city is Nanjing, so that's where the massacre happened, where the Japanese massacred like 300,000 Chinese. Therefore, there's a lot of remarks on Japan and subsequently towards Japanese people. So yeah, in some sense that she's also an outlier socially and culturally. And we became very good friends. I taught her Chinese and she taught me Japanese. And I just felt like I was always more comfortable with outliers because myself as being one, I just feel like I have more understanding and perhaps also compassion towards people who more or less marginalized.
That's quite inspiring because, like, even that part where you said to that it was a man.
Yes, it was a man.
Shut your mouth. That's so inspiring because my mother, like, if I was in that situation saying that, my mother would scold me.
I think that's probably the beginning of where my memory starts of being able to stand up for myself. And it kind of like sticked with me throughout my whole life up to now still. And I think it has its advantage, but it also has a price, to pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
In Asian societies, like women face a lot of expectations, both culturally and socially. Of course, they are interrelated. Mm-hmm. How is it your experience with expectations?
With the Filipino culture, it's very interesting because it's like majority of the Philippines is Christian. So due to colonization of the Spaniards, so the expectation about of women getting married and then having children was very, I guess, traditional in the Christian world. Mm-hmm. So over the generations, Filipino people adapted that. So that was kind of their guide how to live their life. And of course, my parents, born in the 50s and 60s, adapted all of that from their parents and from their grandparents. And that tradition of living a Christian life continued on. So my mother, for example, got married I think she was 23. Got pregnant at 23, and in today's society, that's pretty early. But for them, that's completely normal age. So as a young girl, I would have expected even myself to become a mother at that age, because you look up to your mother and think, okay, that's also the life I would have to live. And then when you get closer to that age, you think, wait, I'm still a student. How do I get married? How do you become a mother? No one teaches you that. So I was actually pretty lucky because my parents never pressured me and my brothers. So I think as time went on, they understood that times are different and it's not like becoming a mother or getting married has to be thought through a lot. And also being in this environment in Austria, they also observe people getting married a bit later, having children later, having fewer children.
For me, expectation was something different. Expectation from my family was a lot more about achievements.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I was never really thinking about getting married, having children, and also the lifestyle that I led was not really preparing me to become a woman who is able to follow the time frame set by the society. I remember even when I was a little girl, I never had any kind of fantasy about, weddings and bridal gowns and all those kind of things. And not even any interest in getting married or having children. Actually, I disliked children a lot. Really. Because if you're so focused in your own interests and hobbies, and particularly when you have a very strong character, you just couldn't be bothered with the idea of doing trivial things in taking care of others, right? So a lot of focus is about developing my own skills, my own hobbies, and how can I achieve more and advance more. It was never about finding a husband. Although I was, interested in having relationships, but there was never any kind of idea in the back of my mind to settle down. To that aspect, I was very little influenced and impacted by the traditional Asian expectations on women. My parents also protected me very well, from the comments and judgments of other people in my country. So I was never really affected by it. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it started a lot later. When I became an adult, I think after university, I started shifting my mindset. So I don't know. It was such a strong feeling, and to really achieve or become this career woman, strong and independent. And I just also had that phase too, where I cannot imagine myself getting married, having a child. But as the years went on, I realized, okay, it's actually the way I was feeling that way is because I haven't have the chance yet to develop myself, like to experience life how I wanted to. In the recent years, like 3 to 4 years ago, my mindset changed again. Like, okay, I'm just in the process of unlearning things that I don't like, discovering what works for me. Because a lot of times there's young mothers who didn't get to live their life before becoming a mother, my mother included. So her dream, for example, was to become a nurse, but due to resources, she wasn't able to study, and she just got into a marriage. And before she even realized, she got married and had children. So I think there's a lot of women who experience this, and it's really, I think it's such a privilege that I get to choose today. Yeah.
For me, that kind of like thinking process was also shifting after I became a career woman. I realized that, I mean, I didn't realize then, but later on I realized, or now I can clearly see that I had the privilege, to live and work in a more or less equal situation to men. Not that I did not experience sexism or gender discrimination at all, but I would say in my personal situation, I had the privilege to choose what I wanted to do. And I realized that, in fact, I also forgot that this privilege that used to belong to men exclusively is something that might not be what is the best for ourselves, because you overly focus on yourself, what you do, and how much you achieve. And like you said, it's very self-centric approach of living. And I felt that I work a lot, I worked hard, as in the stereotype of Asian that you have to be diligent, and I was, but I was doing it for myself, and it was all about me and myself. Although working in non-profit organization or international organizations, you somehow tell yourself that, oh, you are working for the greater good and you are helping the world. But in reality, I'm doing everything for myself. I don't even have anyone in my life to help. So I started to see the crack of self-deceiving hypocrisy in there. And also like the pandemic and the things happened there, and started to shift my idea about identity and also my life perspective, I would say. And it's only at that moment I started to think that whether I want to have a family and settle down. But I think that the real privilege is the fact that I get to live a life the way how I want it, and then make the choice according to my evolvement, right? Because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with not wanting a family and having children. And that's where I began, right? But I think that it's only normal that we change our mind as time goes by, because things happen, life happens, and then you change your mindset, you change the way how you look at things, and that is a sign of I think, development and growth. I had a daughter, and I never, know that I would be so happy, having a child, and particularly a daughter, as I wanted. Actually, there's a shift as well. At the beginning, I couldn't be bothered with the idea of having children. And then I said, okay, I would compromise maybe a boy because they are less complicated than women. Wow. And then before I got pregnant, I started to think that if I have a child, I really hope that it's a girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why was that? The change from wanting to have a boy and then now a girl?
Because even though I did not, experience so much social pressure or cultural pressure on women myself, but I see that what women go through. And lots of women, I would say, suffered emotionally and psychologically because of these pressure and expectations. Which means that I don't want my child to go through that. But at the same time, I also think that it makes women a lot more complicated because they are sensitive. And therefore, I think that having a boy, probably, I was naive, but I thought that maybe having a boy means that I didn't have to deal with all these issues created by the experience that women have to go through, which is actually quite sexist.
Right? It's internalized again,
Yes,
right?
It's internalized sexism.
Right.
And then I really wanted a girl because I felt that if I had a daughter, I would have so much to share with her. Because I turned from a place of internalized sexism to feminism, I felt like, of course, I would want to have a girl so that I can, teach her and uplift her. And that would be a meaningful process for both her and myself. I'm glad in the sense that I now finally not everything is about me anymore.
Wow.
But at the same time, I never really lose my individuality by doing things for others. It's actually the contrary. My individuality has grown because that I now also do things for others. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. I love your perspective because I think it's very important for especially women to even experience that individuality, right?
And I think that is very healthy because we cannot take care of others if we ourselves are not taken care of first.
Exactly.
And how are we able to take upon responsibilities for others if we haven't even learned to be responsible for ourselves first? I think for me, it became clear, of course, along the way, that I have to find my own identity first before I can start, putting more things on myself. Now we already can, live a single life up to our mid-30s or something, and make good use of that time. Go on traveling, see the world, enjoy life, and I think that is what women and men should do. But in my experience, having fun and traveling is a big thing for me, can also become repetitive as an experience itself. I mean, of course, you go to different places or have different food and see different things and meet different people, but the process itself started to become repetitive for me. And I realized that, okay, it's like a cycle, like I work hard, I go home, and then a couple of times a year, I travel somewhere for holiday. I also have trips, business trips for work. But do I want to repeat this year after year and decade after decade?
Wow, that's a interesting perspective as well. Also, the realization that your lifestyle will eventually end, like, or eventually change.
I really know that how privileged it is to be able to say that, oh, I've seen so many places, but which is exactly also the reason that I realized that my life should not be just about creating privilege for myself. If I really believe that I work for the greater good, for the world, then I should be creating the similar experience for others. Like, for example, for my daughter, I always think like how I want to raise her. I would want her to live a free life. She can choose what she wants to be. She can be a career woman, she can be a wife, she can be a mother. That's up to her. What does family mean to you today, living between, cultures?
I see my family as a duty, first of all. I mean, of course, they're unconsciously when I'm with them, I'm like tanking my batteries, and like I feel that bond with them and get strength from them and support. But at the first thing is duty. Like I feel this huge responsibility, especially towards my parents. They've been living in Austria for almost like 33 years by now. They're not fluent in German, so there's a huge language barrier when they want to do simple things like go to the doctor, go to appointments, do any activity outside. So there's always this responsibility to go to all the appointments with them, and always taking the time off of work. And there's a lot of opinions about that, because some of my friends have Filipino parents who are very independent and self-sufficient, but with my parents, unfortunately, it wasn't like that. They did not go to Deutschkurs and had degrees, so it wasn't even their plan to stay here. So it was always in the back of their minds to go back to the Philippines. But after 30 years, there's a lot of development in the Philippines and changes. So after 30 years, every time they go back to the Philippines, they feel this sense of, they also feel alienated, not Filipino enough anymore, and it is the city is too much for them, because also they're getting older. So I really have this guilt as well to take care of them. And I know in a lot of Filipino families that is expected, like their children to support them financially as well. And that's also a thing where I'm really frustrated, because as a first generation immigrant child, you have all these aspirations and dreams. You want to build your career and so on, and you feel restricted and like constrained and held back from your own parents.
In what way held back?
When there's this expectation of your parents to like support them financially,
I see.
You can't really build yourself up to like get a good flat or a bigger flat, or you just consider them always in your financial plans, right? So that's also a discussion amongst my peers in our generation. For some it's easier to be completely independent and their parents are self-sufficient, and for some it's harder, and that's within the Filipino community. So another important thing is also that the way a lot of Filipino parents become so independent is because their parents and their relatives were so dependent on them being in Europe. So it's this vicious cycle that repeats itself. So there's this term I learned, it's transnational motherhood, where your mother lives abroad, but you send money to your relatives and children in the Philippines, and it's this vicious cycle that she in abroad, Europe for example, is living in the lowest bracket while providing for a whole family in the Philippines. So there's no chance for a lot of Filipinos to go to climb the economic ladder because of this cycle. So it's really frustrating for me because on the one hand you want to break that cycle to like climb up that economic ladder for your future offspring, but on the other hand you have this extreme guilt that you can't help your parents or don't support them, and you're like abandoning them.
I see.
Right.
I see. What I notice in lots of immigrant stories that they go abroad, to a more developed country, and they work really hard, and then they would save up everything they have. So instead of benefit from the possible lifestyle they could have there locally, they would try to minimize the expense and save up, and then send the money back to their origin country and help their family and relatives there.
Exactly, yeah.
I just didn't know that they would even go to an extent that they would put their own children to a later order of priority.
Exactly, and again it's like linked to people pleasing, because you, instead of putting your own children first, you don't want to be disrespectful to your parents or to your older brothers, older sisters. And another thing also in Austria, they heard that education is completely free, but in reality there's a lot of like hidden expenses, tools, etc., excursions, like going to like Sprachwoche, like you learn English in the UK, and all those things, especially in art school. When I told my mother that there is a tuition I have to pay, she completely panicked, and that's the first time I saw the guilt in my mother as well. That, oh, I cannot provide for my own children right now. And that's because she was so stuck in that cycle of providing monthly to relatives and cousins who have it so much worse than us, even though she was living a life of complete, very, how do you say it, sparsam? Like she would save everything, save good clothes, save, would not go out a lot, wouldn't go out to restaurants even, right? So like enough to get by, basically.
And did that change her perspective somehow? The fact that you decided to go to an art school that required a tuition fee.
Yeah, I think that hurt her a lot, I think. It hurt her. And I felt that even though she didn't express it verbally, because, it's Asian families, we don't really talk about emotions. And as the years went on and she saw me really struggle with like paying for the tuition myself, getting a job in retail, and then also teaching dance. That's like one of the main reasons I started teaching because I had to fund myself. So, yeah. I think after graduating, she really, really was so proud of myself. And the thing about my mother as well, I think that's very common in Asian cultures too. When she's proud of you, there's this shame to like say it to your face. So she would rather brag to friends, to others, like how great and how proud she is of me, but she would never say it to my face. So that's kind of funny, but also sad in a sense. And yeah, it's just about feeling it. I felt it, and that was enough for me. I didn't need to hear it. So
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. How would you describe your relationship with your mom now?
if you look at it from when I was little to now, it's pretty close. And I'm really happy about that because she opens up to me a lot. And I think, I don't know if it's a conscious decision of her, but she opens up to me about her traumas a lot. So that's a sign for me that she trusts me and knows that I have the capacity to listen to her traumas and to her anger as well. I mean, she's 63 this year, so she's in pension, has a lot of time, and she discovers herself like from scratch basically, because her identity was mother and a worker, right? And I think it's so funny to see, and I also enjoy it a lot to watch her like get into new hobbies, like she likes baking and stuff. And yeah, and also exploring her emotions, like she lets out anger a lot, which at first you feel like, oh my god, why is she so angry? But on the other hand, you realize she has bottled that up for like decades. So
She never showed anger before?
I believe when my father and my mother would have discussions or would fight, they would hide it from us, because in her opinion, it's not good if children see the fight.
Yes.
Right? And I appreciated that they had that mindset. But on the other hand, she would just bottle it up so much. And also how it affected me and my brothers is that we weren't able to have discussions or know how to fight. So we would turn out to be adults who are very avoidant.
I think that it means a lot for both mother and daughter, to become closer with each other, and that is something that I want to have with my daughter. I hope that I can be, always very close to her, and she would always be able to, trust me with her problems, her emotions, and it is not something that I had, and which is why I know that it's something I would like to give her, because I wanted it myself.